Okay, with that, I'm going to start the recording. Away we go. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilton with the Active Trend Trader. Welcome to the second trading day of 2020. So 2020 is here and with us. Hey, one thing to be thinking about, there are, a question I'll pose to everybody. There are approximately 250 trading days every year. A question I have for you is, what kind of a trader do you want to be at the end of the next 250 days? I know some of you have, came on board with Active Trend Traders several years ago, and it just, have really blossomed into becoming really, really great traders and all that kind of stuff. And I would like to see everybody who's a Active Trend Trader do that. But we need to start asking ourselves some questions. What kind of trader do I want to be? Our goal for the year, oftentimes as we sit and we look at the goals that we're trying to establish, oftentimes is, well, I want to make so much money, or I want to, have a certain success rate or whatever in our goals. And there's nothing wrong with having that. But as I've been studying in the, over the holiday periods, I've been studying this book about atomic habits. I've mentioned it before. Atomic Habits is and I've really been impressed. And one of the things that they talk about in Atomic Habits, there it is right there by James Clear. I know some of you subscribe and get some kind of a newsletter or daily email from James. But one of the things he talks about is the ease and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. In his book, he talks a lot about how wherever our life currently is, it is basically a reflection of the habits that we have allowed in our life. And once a habit gets into our life, it almost goes on automatic pilot. Therefore, part of the question I have to ask is, are there some of my subconscious habits sabotaging the way I trade and sabotaging my trading success? So I want to be hitting on this theme throughout 2020, because I'd really like for everyone to come out of 2020 with, basically a new picture of who they are. Anything that has been lagging and keeping them from being great traders, that basically be cast aside and new trading habits be established. And so we're going to be focusing on that, especially for our premium active trend trading guys and some of the Bay Area money making makers. And we do the presentation on Saturday to them. We're going to be doing that. So with that, let's move on over. And why is this not letting me? There we go. So habits, and it's really funny. This Trading Composure guy is a good guy on Twitter. And he basically, he posted this the other day. It says, bad habits are easy to form and difficult to get rid of. I think we all deal with our bad habits, especially when we come into the end of the year, starting into the new year. We sit there and say, I want to, get in shape, lose some weight. I want to be better off financially next year, at the end of next year as compared to this year, and all these kind of things. But then I was noticing about myself, and part of the thing is just observing. I was noticing last night of myself, I've got some subconscious habits. I like to have a snack in the evening before bedtime, sometimes two of them. And I almost do it subconsciously. I mean, it's just automatic. Well, guess what? Guess where the snacks, when you get to my place in life, the snacks typically go to one direct place, right to the gut. And so even though I run, I exercise and all that kind of stuff, I'm sabotaging where I want to be, the healthy person I want to be, because of my subconscious habits. We do the same thing to ourselves in trading. So it's something we'll be working on throughout the year. If you want to join us, hey, come and become an active trend trader, and we can work on this together. Remember, all the materials, the disclaimer has stayed the same. For training purposes, traders should always pay for trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. The objective of this session, this 15-minute session we do every Friday, is basically take timely, actionable intel review at the end of each week, seeking to clarify, simplify market decisions so wealth can be multiplied. Right, I'm looking at the market right now. Market is bouncing back pretty nicely. given the news-driven drop that happened this morning, has it recouped everything? Well, no, it hasn't. But at the same time, let me see how it's doing. It's, we were up almost over 300 points in the Dow yesterday. And guess what? We're down 230 points today. However, a lot of the stocks that we've been trading are doing fine. They're just really hanging in there really well. So we'll also take a look at stocks ETF performance, bonus setups with Dr. Steve. As I said, Dr. Steve is not with us today, but we'll be going ahead and getting some of his suggestions or some of the stocks that he's looking at, and we'll take a look at that going forward. So remember, you have been given the keys. Now learn how to open the door. So I always like to take a look at the seasonality complex of our various in the indexes and also a couple of the commodities. And as you can see, typically at the beginning of the year, NASDAQ tends to kind of go sideways January, February, March. You'll see the same thing if you're trading IBD type stocks, the growth stocks, they tend to go sideways the first part of the year. Sometimes they will rocket ship out of the gate the beginning of the year, but overall, over time, it's a 20-year gauge. This is what they tend to do. There's a lot of volatility in those first 3 to 4 months of the year, and then prices on growth stocks tend to get a little bit of a kick up, and then April through the end of the year tend to do pretty good. And does that mean it's going to happen this way this year? Well, no, not necessarily. But at the same time, this is just a picture of tendencies. So the gold basically, here we are in gold. Gold tends to get a bid at the beginning of the year and launch through the end of February. So we saw this morning with the gold itself, the futures on gold, the gold price is up $24 for today, which gold basically goes in the opposite direction of the market. That's exactly what's happening there. Here's where we finished up last year. I'm pleased with it. This was at the end of the year. We closed that. We almost had 41% for the year. That was strategies 1, 2, and 3. What we'll be doing going into this year, of course, is, just so you'll remember, is strategy number 3 is gone. We are only focusing on now 2 different strategies, focus 1 and 2. One is for stocks and ETFs. The other one is an option for cash flow and capital growth. So here's where we're sitting as of, 9 o'clock this morning Pacific time. As you can see, all the indexes were in fact up a little bit, with the exception of the Russell. Russell is still playing the lagger in this current market. And then, but down from last year's high. But since last year's high for a lot of these indexes happened in the last 2 weeks, it's not a lot to be concerned of at this particular time. So if you are joining us, if you are not a free member of Active Trend Trading, please go ahead and register so you can get what I think is one of the best watch lists on the internet and out there floating around online. It's called the Power Rank Elite List. I publish it every weekend. How do I get this list? Basically, as I analyze all 13 of the premium IBD watch lists that comes out on Friday. And then basically I pull in some factors to establish what my power ranking is, power factors to establish my power ranking. And then it generates a list of somewhere between 12 to 20 stocks every week. So this is where we basically, this is an excellent list. I know some of the members, both free and the premium members, utilize this to cherry pick the strongest growth stocks that are available for a particular week. They add that to their overall watch list, and then it makes their work easier because they're not have to follow and go through 6,000 stocks, or even the 13 watch list from IBD is 500 stocks. They're not having to do that. So with that, hey, let's head over to the charts and see what's going on with the market. Of course, I have to go find the proper chart. There we go. We'll take a look at the weekly on the left and the daily chart on the right. I basically had thrown on this 1618 extension. That is from this move from here to here. Yeah, and that's a projection up. Price action has not made it up there, but that is the upside target for right now. And I don't get deep into the things like Fibonacci's for this free session. If you want to learn more about that, of course, we cover that with our premium training sessions and all that type of thing. So what are we looking at? Well, what I will show you is one, TSI is extended on a weekly chart. What kind of candlestick are we putting in on the weekly chart? Well, that is kind of a spinning top doji inside the body of last week's candlestick. And so that makes it a bearish harami also. That tends to be a reversal signal, but with the down, it doesn't mean it's I'm going to dive for the decks and go into a recession type of reversal. But what it could mean is that, hey, it's time to give us a nice little pullback into the moving average. What would be excellent the first part of this year, over the next 3 to 4 weeks, is to see about a 2 to 3 to 4 week pullback back into this level that's identified by the tan area, which is down towards the bottom, well, just above the 50, which is the golden line coming up there. That would be an excellent place for us to get a pullback. So I'm estimating somewhere between, if you're taking notes, 315.53 down to the 50-day moving average, about 313.50. Somewhere in that box is where I'd anticipate a bounce up to the upside. Let's go ahead and let this work out, because right now we're showing the TSI has crossed to the downside on a daily basis, and now we're breaking back down below the 48 line, which is here. And so it looks like we need to move on down, and we'll be paying attention to TSI for a bounce around somewhere in the vicinity of the 0 line. We're not there yet, but we'll keep watching. What about the Qs representing the NASDAQ? Similar type situation. We do not have a reversal signal on the weekly chart. We did get negative divergence. Okay, negative divergence here. As we're making a new high here, we're getting negative divergence on the TSI. We almost had, as a matter of fact, we may have had, nope. We do not have a 3-line cluster, but we did get the intermediate and long-term momentum line on the market forecast up in the reversal area. When we hit this new high, the momentum has started to shift out of a little bit, but I think that what we're looking at is the momentum has shifted out in order for us to pull back into the moving averages. Watch the Qs or watch the NASDAQ, because they can be a lot more volatile than the other indexes or than the other indexes, with the exception of the next one we're going to be hitting, which is the Russell. Russell, we would think that in the current low volume, low interest rate environment, that the Russell would be basically moving up higher, but it's, as you can see, and it continues to lag the other indexes. It never got even close to the high back in 2018 that we see here on the weekly chart. However, we don't want to take our eye off of the Russell, looking for it to do a pullback. Now, if we break down below the 20, which is right there, let me blow this up just a little bit, because I think this is where some of our significant opportunities are going to be coming from. Is if we break down below the 20 here, look for some support between the 162.83 and the 161. The 161 is approximately the 50-day moving average right now. And that's where we would anticipate a nice bounce in that area to move higher. Of course, if we get the moving averages crossing to the downside, that could portray, you know, that could basically indicate, hey, we're going to go for some additional downside moves on that. But again, the pulling back into all the way down to this 158.79 level, which kind of defines the, you know, the where it was stuck in a range for most of 2019. Hitting that anywhere from 161 down to 158, that would be a even better type of place for us to get a bounce. So that's what we're looking at with IWM. You know, the thing that I always look at is once we have the TSI rolling over and we've crossed to the downside, and I just want to be very careful about when I take my long position. Like I said, I anticipate somewhere between here and here that it's going to find some support and bounce. It's where it found support last time. But at the same time, recognize as I break down through these moving averages, I could be getting more downside pressure as we go. So that's what we're sitting at there. Dr. Steve suggested, he said he couldn't find anything to trade. Of course, he's on the mainland taking, you know, hanging out with his family and all that kind of stuff in a couple of different places, like in Minnesota and California. And so he said he likes V. Just be aware of that Visa has earnings coming up on the 29th. And I like V. I mean, it's gone into a you know, little bit of a move upward here. Let me get that up. There we go. Nice little uptrend pulling up here. It is respecting the 8-day moving average. I would say, you know, between now and it just made a new high. Negative divergence a little bit. So it's not in a place to buy. I would much prefer it hitting off of the 20-day moving average, and I anticipate the 20-day moving average being up here about the 187 level come first part of next week. That might be an intraday opportunity on V. He also mentioned ALGN, which is Align Technology. There we go. Align is kind of reminding me of VRTX, and we put in a trade on VRTX last week that we got filled, well, actually filled the first part of this week, and it stopped us at. It's just not getting a lot of oomph to the upside. It does have earnings coming up. Oomph is one of those technical terms, means it's kind of not, doesn't have a whole lot of momentum to the upside. So TSI has turned over here, starting to turn back up, got a little bit of negative divergence, clear negative divergence in that on the TSI, in that the high here and the high here, momentum was not on the move back up here. Negative divergence on the market forecast. And so Align. You know, if you're going to, you know, get into Align, I would wait for a pullback into at least the 20-day moving average. And then CMG, Chipotle. Again, Chipotle, okay. Chipotle is a very interesting stock. You've basically got this nice little cup over here. Upward sloping handle though. So something to be consider. It did get a breakout. So we had a breakout on slightly higher volume at 850. Watch any pullbacks back into between 850 if you're looking to get into Chipotle, 850 and down here towards, I would say the 20-day moving average, about 830 for a potential trade. Earnings are coming up on 2-4, and that is before aftermarket. That's aftermarket close. And so, and then one I'll just throw out there as something you may want to take a look at. I know Steve's been watching this for a while, and that is Red Hat or Restoration Hardware. It's not Red Hat. The last time Restoration Hardware did this kind of move, similar type move, it held the 50, The 820 crossed to the downside, and then it broke back up just prior to earnings. This has earnings coming up towards the end of March. So we may get a similar type move here. Remember what we have going on here with RH is we are in a downtrend. And so as long as that as long as that line isn't broken, that could, that basically could act as resistance. But at the same time, that line is about $10 away from where we're currently at. So there's some trade ideas going into the weekend and going into next week. One thing that I just wanted to remind everybody about is what's really awesome is because most of the brokers, the online brokers have reduced their stock trading commission to zero. It's really good for people, the short-term traders like we are, trend trading and this type of thing, because it's zero commission. And also the option commission has been reduced, at least at Thinkorswim it has, which is TD Ameritrade, of course. So, okay, let's run on over and get back and finish off the day. And again, if you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the chat section. Yes, Eric, there will. That will be next Wednesday night. We'll do the monthly training session next Wednesday night. So, hey, if I encourage you, hey, join Active Trend Trading for free. You get this great watch list that I hone down. However, if you want something a little bit more in depth, which basically will give you the triggers of when to get in, become a level, it's a new membership level we put together for $219 a year or $19.99 per month. And what it does is basically I send out setups every week on the 5 best stocks that came off of the weekly Power Rank Elite list. Here was where we were last year, and these were would have been the top 5 off of the first list from last year. Now Team Cyber, ABGO, and Kirkland Gold, and it showed. And basically, I identify where to enter, where to exit, what I expect, what my stop loss is going to be, and all you got to do is basically subscribe. You get the go no go table every week, and this is how some of those did. Now's been a beast for 3 years, guys, and we just got out of a trade with Now, did great in it. So, hey, with that, overall with Active Trend Trader, we are restructuring the membership. But up until we get it totally restructured, if you want to be a premium member, join now. The discount on joining now is ending soon. If you need a speaker for your group, I'd love to basically customize any presentation to present to your group via in person or via webinar. Tomorrow we have the Bay Area Moneymaker webinar meeting. We're going to talk about 2020, your year for breakthrough and prosperity. I'm going to be hitting a lot tomorrow on how your habits drive your trading, drive your trading. Either they propel it or they derail it. Then on the 14th, we have the Honolulu IBD meeting, January 14th. Steve and I will be taking a look. Steve's doing the stocks, I'm doing the options. And so next week, if you want to attend a free webinar, I'm going to be doing a swing trading secrets going into next week, the first full week in 2020. Last but not least, if you are interested in becoming a active trade trader, here's the way you do it. Just basically, you can find this discount here, over $1,900 worth of monthly service that we provide. Normally we're $124.99 per month, where you can save 40%, or if you go fully for the yearly membership, you save, it's almost 50% discount for that. So if you're interested in that, you can either email me or just go to that website, go to the website. Matter of fact, the membership web tab on the website will take you to this particular place. So with that, hey, start strong in 2020. I hope you have already got some good trades under your belt. And if you're looking for some good trades, become an active trend trader. And for premium members, we'll be getting up next with the final hour. And until next week, I just want to say aloha, trade well and prosper. Have a great weekend. Happy New Year to everybody. Hey, Trader Joe, how you doing, Joe? Nice to see you. Hope we get connected a lot more this week. Phil, if you hang on, I'll tell you what, Phil, I will be glad to, can you join us for the next, at the top of the hour? I'll take a look at YY for you. For the premium session? Okay, awesome. So until next time, aloha, God bless everybody.